Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Megan Turner. I am a resident of Louisville, Kentucky. Been here for 28 years. I have a background in both the criminal justice and human services, social services fields. I have undergraduate degrees in law enforcement, theater arts, and general studies. And I have a master's degree in divinity from Southern Seminary. I have worked for the American Red Cross as a caseworker. I've worked as a health and safety instructor. I've worked as a teacher for mentally disabled people, as a counselor to mentally disabled people, as a hospital chaplain, and as a nursing home chaplain, among other jobs.
Okay. We're here to thank you for agreeing for the interview. What we're going to talk about is have you heard of the phrase ban the box?
I've heard of it. I have a vague idea of what the entire issue is about. I have not read the entire statement, so okay. I don't really know the entire statement.
Okay, and I'll give you a short description, and we can go from there. Ban the box would remove the box on employment applications that ask the applicant if they have been convicted of a felony. Do you think that's a good idea?
For the most part, yes, with a few reservations.
And those would be?
Okay, if it is a job that involves fiduciary responsibilities, I would think that an employer would be entitled to know if somebody had a background where they had money crimes. For instance, embezzlement or so forth.
Okay.
If it is a job working with children, I would think that it would be appropriate that the prospective employer know if a person had a background as abusing or molesting children.
Okay.
Those things are important. In general, I mean, if you're going to apply for, basic run-of-the-mill jobs where there's not that kind of specific concern, I think it's rather ridiculous.
Okay. To have to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
To have to.
Did you know that the city of Louisville has, the council has an ordinance in front of them that they're going to be debating whether to ban the box from Metro Louisville applications and their vendors. There is, and we'll talk about this some more, but there is a limit. When you mentioned who should be able, there will be some limits to that from what we know. Did you know that the city of Louisville was planning to do that?
I had heard that, yes.
Okay. One of the let's see. The issue would not be completely off the table. What it would be is this is to prevent applications from being just tossed because a person has a felony.
Exactly, sure.
There would be a question after the job was offered or after the interview if that was something that they needed to ask. How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand what you were getting.
If it's not on the front of the application, if the employer still needs to know, then they would be able to ask them once the job has been offered.
Okay.
And then they can make the decision from there. What do you think?
That's reasonable, I think. But just to throw out applications because somebody, they could have been convicted of something very, very minor, minor felony when they were very, very young, and they may have had a wonderful work record since then. At a certain point, people have to be forgiven. I just don't want children placed in danger. I don't want vulnerable elderly people placed in danger. And I really think that if somebody's been convicted of misusing funds, that they shouldn't be handling money.
Well, and I'm sure that the employers will be looking at that.
Right. Now, I wanted to clarify something. You had said that this was the ordinance just addresses Metro government and their vendors.
Correct.
So it would not apply to businesses in general. Is that what you mean?
Not at this point.
Not at this point.
That's the
I
plan.
think that's a very good,
because
good place to start.
that's a good place to start. And we think that once that gets into effect, then there will be more people who get on board with it. Did you know that it has spread to 14 states and over 50 cities in the United States?
I had heard somewhat of that. I did not know the exact numbers, but I do think that there's a growing feeling that things have swung so far in the direction of penalizing people forever and ever and ever and ever that there's a pendulum swing back. To me, this all leads into the whole issue of our prison system is flooded with people who've committed nonviolent crimes. Our prison system is full of people who've had minor drug offenses. That's stupid. This 3 strikes and you're out stuff, three strikes and you go to prison for life crap that they did in California. That's why California's prison system is so freaking overcrowded. And it's ridiculous. Punishments should be more appropriate, and judges should be, I think, trained, and juries should be instructed better.
Okay, sounds good. So are you in support of Ban the Box?
Yes.
Okay.
With those reservations that
you
we talked about.
Sure. Okay. Do you know anyone that has been affected by Ban the Box?
In a way. I have a brother that has been convicted of a felony. He works construction, so it doesn't really impact him that much, because in construction, if you know what you're doing, they really don't care, because they want to get the job done.
Right.
He doesn't handle money, but he can run crews. His offenses were drug offenses and being stupid in public offenses, which is what happens when you drink and do drugs. And they're quite some time ago, over 30 years ago, when he was young and stupid. Now he's old and stupid, but he's able to find work.
Okay.
And so it hasn't impacted him in that way. If he had a different kind of occupation, it might have. But then again, if he had a different kind of occupation, he may never have gotten involved in the drinking and the drugs. So,
correct.
So I've seen it from both sides.
Okay.
When I worked, one of the things I didn't mention when I was doing my introduction is I used to work for a police department, dispatch police cars. And one of the weirdest days I ever had was coming into work, putting on my headset to get on the radio to dispatch police cars, and the person I relieved said, "Oh, such and such officer is out with this car, and here's the driver's license thing, and it's suspended. Give it to him." It was my brother that he had pulled over.
My.
So that was kind of, my voice shook a little bit when I read that one over the air. The officer let him go, and then called me later, and he said, "Is that really your brother I pulled over?" I said, "Yeah."
Okay. Well, thank you for answering a few questions for us.